The current state of Battle Royales is weird. Battle Royales were a game genre that for a long time took the world by storm. It seemed like every single week there would be a brand new Battle Royale game being released, and every other week, coincidentally, a new Battle Royale would be dead. Some of these were good, some of them bad, some of them I don't even know. But since this time, it's very evident to see that the Battle Royale genre really doesn't interest people as much as it once did. Now instead, we are getting a new hero shooter or tactical shooter every week. The Battle Royale genre in itself has become rather stagnant, but that doesn't mean it's entirely dead, because the games in this genre that have survived and beat the rest of the competition are now the rightful kings of the Battle Royale genre. But why are these games the ones that stuck around, and how are they doing these days? I think it's safe to say that PUBG, aka Playerunknown's Battlegrounds, is what set the standard for practically every game in the genre, dropping down into the map, collecting yourself loot, and surviving until the end of the game. This is the foundation of what makes every single Battle Royale game a Battle Royale game. And sure, PUBG didn't do this first. We had the Minecraft survival games as well as Playerunknown's Arma 2 mod DayZ Battle Royale. So while it may not have been the start of Battle Royales, it was the first large-scale BR game and definitely did this better than the rest. Though it used to be a painfully buggy mess with constant optimization issues and buildings that were allergic to actually loading properly, PUBG over the years has probably been the most consistent Battle Royale going. It's remained in the top 10 of Steam since its birth, with the game comfortably sitting in the top 5 highest played games. And overall, the game really hasn't changed much at all besides embracing a more wacky tone here and there. Interestingly enough, it seems that PUBG is now thriving way more in the mobile scene these days and has gone from a core Western audience to being embraced by many countries in Asia. But besides being consistent in its player count, PUBG has always been consistent in its gameplay. Over the years, it really hasn't changed that drastically. In fact, it's only gone better, seeing as all the technical issues the game had at its launch have all pretty much vanished. The game now runs very smoothly, making it so much easier to play. The only real major additions that have shaken up the game are a multitude of new maps that have been introduced since the game's launch, and these maps have been very hit or miss, but it at least shakes up the game a little bit. There's also been some new gimmicks here and there that are little cool things to introduce, but these never really drastically change the game and make it unrecognizable. PUBG at its core has practically remained the same. Compared to every other Battle Royale, it is without a doubt the most tactical. Rather than having any emphasis on fast movement, reaction times, and using Magneto's superpowers to one-hit opponents, PUBG instead opts to put a major focus on gunfights, positioning, and outsmarting your opponents tactically. Most gunfights are determined not only by who has the better aim, but rather who has the environmental advantage. The player who manages to get a spot with some nice big walls to hide and shoot from behind is usually going to beat the person stuck behind a tree. Most of the time anyways. This is the highlight of PUBG games. Intense gunfights where all it takes is a few bullets or one single good headshot and you're dead. It is so easy to get killed in PUBG, and this is what makes the game so intense during these skirmishes. Sometimes you'll be minding your business, running across a field, and all of a sudden you are dead because someone sniped you from across the map. In my country, we call this a skill issue. And while this is one of the best things about PUBG, the slower gameplay and tactical nature does harm the game too, because the highs are so far and few between. For the majority of the game, you will be doing this: waiting. With it being harder to traverse around and these maps being pretty huge in scale, it is sometimes really hard to find players. Your only indicator is gunshots in the distance that you can follow, but these are usually pretty far away and there's a good chance someone snipes you on your way over to them. With it being so easy to die in PUBG, it makes it so players become pussies and would rather cower inside houses rather than run out and risk being obliterated by bullets. It encourages a lot of hiding, waiting, and sniping from inside buildings, because going full Rambo is extremely risky and not something you can really pull off in the game. So playing the game in a very safe way is usually the far better option. To me, it's a game with very high highs and extremely low lows. With not much else to spice up the game, it can be boring to some and definitely attracts a different crowd to other Battle Royales, being more suited for Arma or Tarkov players. If anything, I'd say this is as standard as a Battle Royale can get. It's like the grilled cheese of the genre. Good, but it's standard, a bit basic, and it doesn't really offer any spice. With the game continually holding very high players and the upcoming transition to Unreal Engine 5, as well as the implementation of user-generated content, it seems to me at least that PUBG is here to stay indefinitely. Although, as we all know, PUBG's spot as the #1 BR game was swiftly overthrown with the release of Fortnite. Or to be more specific, Fortnite's Battle Royale mode. When its release trailer dropped, many people, including myself, laughed at the audacity of trying to compete with the likes of PUBG. I mean, PUBG's reign was just so massive, it seemed like an impossible task. Of course, in hindsight, let's just say, I may be a fucking idiot. Fortnite has become a cultural phenomenon and has easily cemented itself as the absolute king of Battle Royales. And when you contrast it to PUBG, it's pretty easy to see why. Fortnite is actually just insane, and there are a million things that can happen in each game. I mean, it's the only game where you can play as Peter Griffin and snipe somebody from across the map.
Holy crap, you guys gotta subscribe for that clip.
I think the beauty of what makes Fortnite so relevant is not only the massive amount of collabs that get people hyped about the game every month, but rather the constant gameplay shakeup each new chapter and season offers for players. Every chapter has huge overhauls that can sometimes change the game completely, with of course the main focus being entirely new maps and locations to play in. And each season has so many cool, interesting weapons that are put into them each time that it makes it so if you take a break even for just a month, you'll be coming back to an entirely new game. This is only heightened when you combine crossovers with these new gameplay additions, as they introduce weapons and mechanics from said collabs, which is really just the best of both worlds when it comes to creating hype. To me, Fortnite is just the perfect game to mess around in. Playing with friends is just hours of goofing around and doing stupid shit. You may try hard occasionally, or all the time if you're a sweat, but just talking about stupid stuff and doing stupid things in the game is truly what makes Fortnite special. Only at the same time, this is typically the worst thing about Fortnite as well, because with the constant addition of all these new weapons, mechanics, and gameplay changes that Epic Games puts in so often, it can really make the gameplay so unbalanced at times. New mechanics or a new weapon can just completely obliterate enemies most of the time, which is fine if you're playing for fun. This is great, but if you're a more competitive player of the game, this truly can become a nightmare. Although it's worth mentioning, if you play the actual ranked mode, a lot of the weapons are actually banned from this to fix the balancing issues, so this is an easy way to negate the problems. But if you want to just try your hardest in normals without the stress of ranked gameplay, yeah, it's not happening. This couldn't be more true of the way Fortnite over the years has implemented bot players into the game. It's really annoying when you're playing a game and again a ton of kills, raising your confidence and making you think you're amazing at the game, only to finally meet your first real player later on in the game who absolutely demolishes you as you realize, oh wait, yeah, I'm shit to the game, I forgot. I get why they do this. Including the bots makes the game more enjoyable for bad players and gives them a constant influx of dopamine from getting these easy kills, as well as probably drastically bringing down the length of queue times. So really, it's a feature that I kind of love and hate at the same time. Fortnite is just a huge contrast from the fair and slower gameplay of PUBG to the chaotic, wacky, and unbalanced mess that Fortnite can be. So while I do unironically enjoy Fortnite because I'm not a Redditor and can form my own opinions, if I was very competitive about the game, it would really suck. At the least, the thing that saved this game for me and many others was the addition of Zero Build. The frustration of the building mechanics, while what made Fortnite unique at first, really did ruin the game's enjoyment when people got insanely good at it. It's not fun shooting at someone as they make a one-to-one recreation of the Empire State Building. So having two separate game modes to isolate the building mechanic was the thing that kept Fortnite going for many players, and also gave the game almost like a second wind. Zero Build doesn't need building to be fun because Fortnite is inherently a goofy game, and the items alone really set it apart from other games in the genre. In Fortnite's case, when there are so many updates being pumped out constantly across the year, new game modes to play in aside from the BR mode, and the game becoming a bigger crossover game than even Super Smash Bros. Could even dream of, Fortnite is so safe in its current position, and I really doubt it'll die anytime soon. The game is cemented as the king of the genre, and it is highly unlikely that anything will ever compete with it. For a while though, it really did seem like Apex Legends, when it first launched, would be the Fortnite killer. It made such a splash on its entry and generated so much hype within the gaming community, and unfortunately, over the years, it really hasn't stuck the landing. Apex is in a really bad state right now, and the Steam reviews being overwhelmingly negative really speaks volumes on how players are enjoying the game currently. Whether that's due to the poor state of the battle pass, along with the recent drama that's come with it, the many hackers that are currently infesting ranked gameplay, or the many other issues people are just having with the game. To me, Apex has without a doubt been the least consistent of all the Battle Royale games, with many ups and downs in its lifespan. But people are way too quick quick to discredit Apex Legends because I don't think many people realize just how much Apex has influenced the Battle Royale genre. So many fins in BRs that are now staple features pretty much all originated from Apex Legends. The rebooting system where you're able to pick up player cards to take them to respawn beacons in order to bring them back into the game was a genius gameplay mechanic. In fact, it was so genius that Fortnite stole it and implemented it into their game literally weeks later. Not only did this feature give players an extra chance to play the game with the inherent risk of fighting to regain your teammate's player card, it only hammered in further the huge team focus that Apex Legends had, with no option to play the game solo or even as a duo, although these modes were added in later on as a limited time game mode. You were forced to team up with other players by default. Along with this came the ping system, which I'm not sure if any game did this beforehand, but Apex was certainly the first Battle Royale to have this system. The ping system was just so genius because when you're forced into playing as a team, even if you were playing solo, sometimes not everyone has a mic or even wants to talk to strangers. So these pings were a super easy and efficient way of communicating information to other players, such as enemy locations by spamming the F key like your actual life was in danger, or useful item pickups. Putting a major focus on team play along with an easy way to communicate made for one of the best and most unique Battle Royale experiences on its release. But now, because of the success of these systems, almost every other Battle Royale has taken the ping mechanics as well as the reboot system, making it so what made Apex Legends so special in the first place really doesn't make it stand out anymore. Its only real unique features remain being the high mobility the game offers. Of course, being made by the developers of Titanfall 2 makes this rather obvious. Sliding around or using the mobility champions offer makes this game high octane, no pun intended, and the game being a hero shooter hybrid where each character has its own specific abilities. I've always thought this was pretty well implemented, at least at first. No ability was truly OP, and for the most part, besides ultimates, these were all utility based or highly situational. On top of this, you can combine champion abilities with each other, which only heightened the team focus the game was going for. But as does happen with hero shooter games, with new characters constantly being introduced, the balancing gets made worse, and now some characters' abilities are just by default better. This isn't to a ridiculous degree or anything, but most of the top tiers are new characters that a lot of the time make some of the base characters pretty obsolete. Overall, it does just feel like the biggest hurdle in the state of Apex Legends is EA's poor handling of the game, if that's any shock to you. Neglecting fan feedback and not including things fans of the game have been asking for, such as making the modes like solos, duos, and quads permanent modes rather than limited. It made sense why they were limited before, but now that Apex is less special with some of its features that have been stolen, I really don't see why they wouldn't. Apex is still going strong just about, but it's had a huge decline over the years, and I'm not sure if the game will be around much longer. Warzone, on the other hand, seems like it'll be around just as long as Call of Duty is around for, so forever. Warzone has always been the weird black sheep of the Battle Royale genre to me, not because it's bad or anything like that, but more because it attracts a totally different player base to all of these games. No other BR game is taken more seriously by its players than Warzone is. I mean, when it's practically full of COD players, of course everyone is going to be raging and acting as if these games are life and death. This all doesn't mean Warzone hasn't paved its own way in the genre, however. For one, the movement in Warzone is probably the most intense, perhaps even more so than Apex. Fights typically finish just as fast as they started, very reminiscent of me in the bedroom. It's almost like a combination of the high-speed gameplay of Apex Legends mixed with how easy it is to die in PUBG. Sometimes you'll be dead just before you've even registered that someone just ran into your building and sprayed 1,000 bullets into your body. I think it's safe to say though that the highlight feature that Warzone always offered, and probably being one of the best Battle Royale features the genre has ever had, is with the Gulag system. Once you die, you're given the chance at a second win to be put back into the game. The only caveat is that you need to win your Gulag match, a 1v1 in a tiny arena to be given the right to be put back into the game and straight into the action again. You only get this opportunity once, however, so if you're playing solo, you'll only have a maximum of 2 lives. This isn't as big of a thing in team game modes though, as your squad has the ability to collect cash in order to buy you back into the game, which does negate the impact the Gulag has in these modes. The Gulag is just so perfect because it only rewards good players with a second chance, making it so if you die early on in the game to bad luck, you still have the chance to come back and win the entire game. It's incredibly nerve-wracking given the pressure these 1v1s put on you, making it so more than often players will fumble. But when you win one of these, ooh, does it feel good. Most of the time anyways. I honestly have no idea what that guy was doing there. I think the one thing that does hold Warzone back is really, if you don't play Call of Duty whatsoever, then you are at a major disadvantage disadvantage. This isn't even bringing into question the potential skill difference. This is all to do with the loadout system. You have the ability to create your own Warzone class, much like you do in normal COD, that you can gain access to via drops in the match. The problem comes with the fact that non-COD players don't have any of these OP guns unlocked, and are often restricted to terrible options. Meanwhile, frequent players of the game have the current meta build every time, meaning their guns are just so much more powerful than your own. Sure, the drops in the games are definitely good enough to help you win, but the class customization of COD is so intricate these days that every attachment you put on makes a huge difference. So it doesn't really matter if you can win with the regular drops. These classes are just so overtuned that it makes it near impossible. I'm not saying it's entirely a bad thing. The system is great for COD players and adds customization to a game genre that is usually lacking in that department, but it definitely makes the barrier to entry way smaller for new players than every other Battle Royale in the market. It's a game more tailored for squads, because playing this solo really isn't fun, so if you don't have any friends to play with, then I honestly wouldn't bother. Clearly, it's a solid entry to the genre based on its success over the years alone, but in my eyes, it's probably the least appealing to anyone who isn't a fan of COD. Every other Battle Royale does things better, and Warzone only does things well for a niche type of gamer rather than general audiences. So as far as I'm aware, these are really the only current Battle Royales that have stood the test of time and remain alive to this day. It is a shame that these are the only ones, considering just how big the genre's boom was all those years ago. So many Battle Royale games died out, so the fact that only 4 are still dominating really speaks volumes to their quality. Maybe I've missed some, so do feel free to comment any that I have. But as far as I'm aware, any others with potential are long gone, either being a ghost town or put in the grave next to Overwatch 1. I kind of doubt we'll ever see any future Battle Royales reach the same heights as these 4 again. Honestly, the genre feels impossible to break into now, seeing as with the boom that happened all those years ago, audiences are sick of seeing new Battle Royales. I don't feel like it's impossible, but it seems highly unlikely, because really, PUBG, Fortnite, Apex, and Warzone are the undisputed kings of the genre, and really, nothing is ever gonna top these. But hopefully, the gaming industry can prove me wrong. It won't.